Hey everyone, I hope everybody is well. I'm quite echoey actually, I'm in my kitchen. I'm going to show you how to mix up this wax, whether you're putting it in a slushy drink, which is the one that I'm going to be doing, or into your Coke float. Also, I've just put my washing machine on. I completely forgot I had to film this today. These shadows are the lights above me, so if you are wondering what these are. So the wax, I got this from Amazon. It is gel wax for candle making. That's what it looks like in the packet. There is a few instructions as well on the back. And I know there's quite a few different tutorials on YouTube, you know, of how to put different displays inside and how to layer it up. So you might want to have a look at that as well. However, I'm just going to show you how to add the dye. I've already got one bag open, which didn't have the label on, so I've just brought this one in. This is a 1 kilogram bag. Brought my full tray in rather than, because I've brought everything out of the pit, rather than me individually doing these. So these are the dyes that we've used before, which is your candle liquid dye. So these are what you're aiming for. I haven't tried acrylic paint, so I don't know if it's going to work. So I would just stick with dyes. The one that I used for the Coke float was the brown. Let me just find it. This one, it has been used quite a lot, nearly out. So obviously the more colour you want, once your wax is melted, which obviously we're going to go over, you just keep adding whatever colour you like. You can also mix up different ones, like different colours if you want in layers. So if you're doing like maybe a cocktail and you want 3 separate layers, again, it's just the same as like setting your resin. You just got to let it cool down. It takes quite a while to cool down. Don't worry about any of your pans or anything like that either. It does peel off. Once your wax is dry, then you can reheat it if needed. So first thing you need to do is decide really what colour you're wanting. I'm going to do mine blue because obviously I'm doing a slushy. But like I say, you can use, I think I'm going to go in for this blue. You can use whatever colours you like, but like I say, for the Coke float, it's exactly the same method. I just went in with that brown. So let me show you, once you've chosen your glass, how much wax you know how much you need to melt. This is the glass I'm going to be using. Obviously, I've used one of these before, so I know it's shatterproof. You know, bearing in mind, this wax does get quite hot at the melting point, so just bear that in mind when you are choosing your glass. I'm not quite sure how you know, you might be able to do a Google search of what is shatterproof and what isn't. But I know these mason jars, like I say, I've worked on these before. And I've also done another glass with a lemonade. I can't find it, otherwise I would have showed you. That was also shatterproof. So deciding, obviously, how far you want your gel wax. So fill it with water where you want it to go. Bearing in mind, if you're adding ice cubes or anything like that, you know, you're going to need a little bit less. But I will just do it on this measurement. Because like I say, it doesn't matter if you've got extra, keep it in a bag and then you can warm it back up over and over again. So let me just pop some water in here. So this is more or less where I want my wax to go. Now, if you are adding ice cubes, I got these a long time ago. I think they was in the Christmas selection. You might want to put your ice cubes in first and then add your water. That way, obviously, if I start adding ice cubes now, this is going to overflow. It's just going to give you a bit more of a specific sort of like measurement, should we say. But like I say, it doesn't really matter because, you know, your wax isn't, once it dries, it goes hard again. And you can keep remelting it as many times as you like. So I don't think I'm going to be adding the ice cubes, but I will explain the ice cubes along the way. Like I say, just in case you want to add these to your Coke float. So once you've decided how much water, grab yourself a jug, and now we want to get the measurement from the jug in millilitres. So work out where your millilitres are, and mine is just short of 400. So taking that number, I'm just writing this down, you now need to times this by 0.9. So 400 times 0.9. You might have more, you might have less. That will then give you the weight of your wax. So let me just times that because I'm not good at maths, so I'm just going to get my calculator out. Mine came out at 360, so now I know I need 360 grams of this wax. So I just tend just to blob it in and then separate it afterwards. That'll do. 359. So now what I'm going to do is just break all this up and just pop it in my pan, ready to heat. Now, if you're wanting to do 3 separate layers, you can now individually pop these in. You know, you might want to weigh it so you've got even, you know, split this measurement again into 3 if you're doing 3 different colours. And then obviously do your first colour, pour it in, let it set, and then go on to your next colour. Again, pour it in, let it set, and then your last colour. Obviously, in the meantime, after you've put your first layer on, that's when you need to start adding your ice cubes because they're quite heavy. If you add your ice cubes in first and then pour in your wax, all your ice cubes are going to sink to the bottom of your glass, which is not going to look as realistic. We want the ice further up. So I'm just going to break all this up and then pop it in my pan. So I'm just now, just broke it up with my fingers. I've just put it on my cooker, and now with just a wooden spoon, I'm just going to start melting down all this wax. So it's been on the stove about 3 minutes. I've just sort of like simmering it now, making sure all the little chunks are out, but it will just start looking just like water. Taking my spoon out just to show you, I'm just going to keep jumping in. The more you mix this, the more you're going to get lots and lots of bubbles inside. If you don't want all the bubbles, I know we're doing drinks, so bubbles are fine. Just don't overmix it. And then once everything is melted, we can then add our dye. So all my wax is now melted. As you can see, it's quite frothy because I have been stirring it quite a lot. So now just add in your dye, a couple of drops at a time, keep mixing it. In the meantime, if your gel is starting to go a little bit hard again, just put it back over your stove. So I'm going in with this blue. I'm just going to add a couple of drops to start with. So let's start with 3 and then just give this a mix. Find it easier as always just to keep adding until you get the desired colour. You might not be able to see on here, but there's hardly any colour in that yet. So I'm just going to keep adding my dye until I've got the right colour. Right, I think I'm now happy with that colour. So I ended up doing just a couple of drops of this blue, just to make it a little bit darker. And then, like I say, I just kept adding the normal blue. I think I end up with about 13 drops of this, maybe a little bit more. And then about 3 drops of this one. So after you've mixed it, you'll feel like it's, you know, it might start getting too thick. Just like I say, just pop it back over and heat it up again. This is one of my old pans, but I know it does come out. But I do keep a few little pans just for my crafting. So I do want to add some ice type thing inside here. This is just like fake snow, just in white. Now, I've never used this before in this wax, and because of the heat, I don't think it's going to be heat resistant. So I'm just going to see if it ends up melting inside, then it does. I'm just going to try just a few bits first, just to see whether it'll stay. Obviously my dye is going to colour them as well. Yeah, I think they'll be all right. Right, I'm going to pour some of these in. You can add beads, all sorts of stuff. And then I'm also going to add some of this fine white glitter. So I'm going to mix all this together. And then I'm going to transfer this into my Pyrex dish. It's going to be easier into my jug. Sorry, my Pyrex jug to pour it in. So I've just poured this inside. This is what it looks like with those little flakes inside. I said I wasn't going to add some ice cubes, but I'm going to show you. So what you need to do now, obviously if you're doing the Coke float, make sure that you haven't gone as high as me, because you've got your ice cream to put on the top once everything is dry. You can obviously add scents to these as well, and your glass is going to be quite warm. So what I've done is I've just poured in how far up I want where my ice cubes to start. This is how easy it peels off. I've put the rest in the pan to top up afterwards, and I've just got to let that cool. So as it's sort of cooling down, give it a good 5 to 10 minutes, and then obviously add your straw, just so it's sits inside. You might not have done yours as block as mine, so you know, you might want yours a little bit more clear, so you can see your straw. So just pop your straws in. I'm going to do red. I'm probably going to do 2. This time we don't have to cut them down because they're going to stick out naturally anyway. So I'm just going to let this top layer cool. And then I'm going to place my ice cubes on the top once my jelly wax is dry. And then with the last that I've just put back in the pan, ready to heat up. And then obviously I'm going to pour that over the top. So while this is cooling, you'll know when it's cool enough to put your ice cubes in. You might want them sinking just a little bit on the corners. If you pop it in and your ice cubes sink straight to the bottom, it's not quite set. So let me just show you one while my other bits is cooling. So I want one at the front here, and it'll just start sinking just a little bit. So just bear that in mind. So mine isn't cool enough, but I can get just a couple. Your straws will move about as well, because this does stay this consistency in your jar, so it will stay sort of jelly even though it looks block, if that makes sense. So once you know it's not sinking to the bottom, you can then, you know, carry on adding. Now, if you're wanting to pop your ice cream on the top, if you're doing this as a Coke float, keep it so it's more or less at the level that I've got it. And then what you can do is let everything dry fully. Mix up your polyfiller for your ice cream scoop. Now I did find when I did the other one, again I can't find it, I added a tiny bit of yellow into my white polyfiller. It just made it look a lot more vanilla-y. And then you're just going to go inside with your polyfiller, just covering up all this little ridge here. And then make yourself an ice cream scoop by adding your flour, obviously making it thicker. We've covered that before. And then just plop that on the top. You can then add your straws either inside and work around these if you want to, or you can add your straws into your ice cream last. Again, that is completely up to you. It's completely up to you as well, how many ice cubes you want to add. Bearing in mind, you know, if it's not really clear, you're not really going to see any ice cubes that you put in the middle. But again, it's just going to give you a nice base to layer the last on. And then what I'll do is I'll just reheat some of my wax. Just pour that a little bit over the top, just so it sinks onto my ice cubes. The other thing I want to discuss as well, I know I mentioned about beads earlier. Obviously, because it goes like watery, if you add all your beads into your wax straight away and pour it in, all your beads are going to sit at the bottom. Excuse me. So what I would do is pour a little layer in, just clear. Let that set a little bit. Pop, you know, while it's still a little bit warm, you can then pop your beads inside just so you can see them at the front. And then again, let that layer dry till you get sort of like halfway up the top. And then you can obviously mix all your beads or heavy bits and pieces that you want to put in, and then pour that over the top. That way everything is sort of layered up and not everything is sunk down to the bottom. So I'm just going to finish this off. Just wait for this to cool a little bit more. And then you'll see me in the pit and I'll show you the finished result. I am now back in the pit with the finished result. I've just put my sticker on. Either or would have looked nice. I decided on the taller one. Obviously you can do different colours with these. Add whatever stickers you want to the front of yours. So it's still a little bit warm, just to get the froth on the top. The last pour that you do, mix it really, really quick until you've got all the air bubbles inside, and then just pour that over your layer. It will sink down just a little bit where the gaps were, where we put the ice cubes. And now you just need to let that cool and you're done. So I really hoped it helped and you enjoyed the tutorial, or enjoyed the tutorial, should we say, and I will see you all soon. Goodbye, everybody.